Hello everyone, welcome to the IES IPS Factory. We are studying English vocab from Blackbook. In this video, we are covering one word substitution, idiom phrases, and synonym, antonyms plus spelling. This is our daily dose 4. हम इससे पहले की डेली डोज 3 में 300 तक जो है वन वर्ड का कंप्लीट कर चुके हैं. नाउ वी स्टार्ट फ्रॉम 301. सो लेट्स स्टार्ट. Cerebral, दिमागी, something that is related to the brain or the intellect. Next one is कैरोग्राफी, मोम पर नक्काशी का काम करना. आर्ट ऑफ डिजाइनिंग और राइटिंग ऑन वैक्स. नेक्स्ट इज कैफे, रगड़ कर गरमाना. रब अ पार्ट ऑफ द बॉडी टू रिस्टोर वार्मथ और सेंसेशन. नेक्स्ट इज कैफ, भूसा. द हस्क ऑफ कॉर्न और अदर ग्रीन सेपरेटेड बाय विनोइंग और थ्रेशिंग. नेक्स्ट इज चार्जिंग, विफलता, निराशा की वजह से शर्मिंदा महसूस होना. वेक्सेशन फॉर ह्यूमिलिएशन और डिसअपॉइंटमेंट. नेक्स्ट इज चेंज, परिवर्तन, रिप्लेसिंग समथिंग विद समथिंग एल्स. नेक्स्ट इज चैलेंजिंग, changeling, बदला हुआ बच्चा. A child who is believed to have been secretly left in exchange for another. Next is chapel, छोटा गिरजाघर. A small building, rooms used for Christian worship in a school, prison, large private house, etc. Next is charisma, आकर्षण. Compelling attractiveness or charm that can inspire or influence others. Next is charmistic, आकर्षण. Expressing a compelling charm without inspires devotion in others. Next is Cartlan, Dongi, a person falsely claiming to have a special knowledge or skill. Next is chase, पीछा करना, run after in order to catch up or catch up with. Next is chars, गहराई, गहरी खाई, a deep fissure in the earth's surface. Next is chassis, ढांचा, the base frame of car or other wheel vehicle. Next is justice, फटकारना, to criticize someone severely. Next is chauffeur, motor चालक, a person who employed to drive a private or hired car. Chiromancy, हस्तरेखा विद्या, palm reading. Next is chayor, गायक मंडली, a group of singers in a church. Next is chore. Then it comes a routine task, especially a household one. Next is choreographer, नृत्य निदेशक, one who plans the steps and moves in a dance. Next is chronic, दीर्घस्थायी, a disease persisting for a long time, recurring again and again. Next is chronological, तिथि क्रम के अनुसार, the order of their occurrence. Next is chronology, कालक्रम, an arrangement of events or dates in the order of their occurrence, an instrument for measuring time accurately in spite of motion or variations in temperature, humidity, and air pressure. Next one is churlish, abhadra, rude in a mean, spirited and surly way. Next is Shadzar, दुस्साहस, extreme self-confidence or audacity. Next is circumlocution, शब्द बाहुल, बहुत सारे शब्दों का प्रयोग. The use of many words where only a few are necessary. Next is circumstantial, पारिस्थितिक, clues available at a scene. Next is citadel, किला, गढ़, a fortress typical one of high around above a city. Next is clamber, हाथ पैर के बल, कठिनाई से चलना, climb or move with difficulty or a lot of effort, typically using one's hand and feet. Next is clamorous, कोलाहलपूर्ण, making a loud and confused noise. Next is clamor, कोलाहल, शोर, loud appeal or demand. Next is claustrophobia, छोटी जगह से होने का डर, extreme fear of being in a small confined place. Next is silently, ग्राहक गण, all the customers of a business. Next is clock room, saman kach, a room in a building, in a public building where outdoor clothes or luggage may be left. Next is cluck, मुर्गी की आवाज, the sound made by a hen. Next is coast, समुद्री तट, land beside a sea. Next is cobweb, मकड़ी का जाला, a spider's home. Next is cockpit, वायुयान के चालक कक्ष, a small compartment in an aircraft of the pilot. Next is cocktail, cocktail means मिश्रित शराब, a drink usually made for a mixture of one or more drinks. Next is codicil, वसीयतनामे के बाद का परिवर्तन पत्र, an instrument that is added later to a will, usually to change a part of it. Next is coerce, बलपूर्वक विवश करना, to restrain or compel a person to do something by force. Next is coercion, जोर जबरदस्ती, use of force or threats to get someone to agree to something. Next is coffer, तिजोरी, a strong box or small chest for holding valuables. Next is coffle, गुलामों का काफिला, a collection of slaves. Next is coincidence, संयोग, a remarkable occurrence of events or circumstances without apparent causal connections. Next is colleague, सहकर्मी, a person that one works with at the same place in a profession or business. Next is colloquy, वार्तालाप, mutual disclosure. Next is collusion, मिलीभगत, a secret agreement especially in order to do something dishonest or deceive. Next is colony, basti, a group of ants. Next is colossus, विशाल मूर्ति, a gigantic statue. Next is commemorate, स्मरण करना, to keep a great person or event in people's memory. Next is commission, dalali, money given to agent or sales. Next is communication, sanchar, an act of exchanging information. Next is compassion, daya, anukampa, to have a strong feeling of sympathy with a desire to help. Next is compatriots, so deshwasi, person who belongs to the same country. Next is compare, कार्यक्रम उद्घोषक, a person who introduced the performers or contestants in a variety show. Next is complacent, आत्मसंतुष्ट, satisfied with no desire to change or improve. Next is complement, पूरक, to make perfect or complete. Next is compliment, प्रशंसा, to remark that express approval or admiration. Next is compositor, प्रिंट से शब्द पहले शब्दों या वाक्यों को व्यवस्थित करना. One who sets type for books, newspaper, etc. Next is compunction, पश्चाताप, a feeling of guilt or moral scruple that prevents or follows the doing of something bad. Next is conceited, abhimani, having too much pride in yourself or what you do. Next is conceivable, kalpaniya, capable of being imagined or grasped mentally. Next is concentric, संकेंद्रित, having a common center as circle or spheres. Next is concubinage, बिना विवाह के साथ रहना, living together of a man and woman without being married to each other. Next is condominium, फ्लैट की तरह का घर, apartment building in which each apartment is out separately by the people living in it, but also containing shared areas. Next is condone, माफ करना, forgiving or pardon someone wrongdoing or an offense. Next is confectioner, मिठाई बेचने वाला, a company or person that makes or sells sweets or chocolate. Next is confess, kabul karna, to own up to something as true. Next is configuration, एक विशेष आकृति में an arrangement or parts or elements in a particular form or figure. Next is confiscate, जब्त करना, to officially take something away from somebody. Next is conflagrant, जलता हुआ, combustibles, flammable. Next is confluence, sangam, place where two or more rivers meet. Next is conformist, स्वीकृत व्यवहार या स्थापित प्रथाओं के अनुरूप. A person who conforms to accept behavior or stabilized practices. Next is congenial, janjat, pertaining to an individual from birth. Next is conglomerate, कंपनियों का समूह. A corporation made of a number of different companies that operate in diversified fields. Next is congregation, धार्मिक सभा, an assembly of worshippers, a group of people who have come together in a religious building for worship or prayer. Next is conjecture, निराधार कल्पना, an opinion or conclusion formed on the basis of incomplete information. Next is connoisseur, विशेषज्ञ, पारखी, a man who knows a lot about things like food, music and art. Next is conscience, जमीर, अंतरात्मा, feeling inside you which tells you what is right and what is wrong. Next is conscientious, कर्तव्यनिष्ठ, one who does one's work thoroughly and seriously. Next is conscription, अनिवार्य सेनाभर्ती, compulsory enlistment for military service. Next is conservation, प्राकृतिक संरक्षण, careful preservation and protection of wildlife the need of the hour. Next is conservative, रूढ़िवादी, अपरिवर्तनीय, opposed to great or sudden change. Next is console, सांत्वना देना, comfort someone at a time or grief or disappointment. Next is conspiracy, षड्यंत्र, a secret plan made to do something usually wrong. Next is consultation, nakshatra, a group of stars that forms a shape in the sky and has a name. Next is consternation, घबराहट, state of anxiety or dismay causing mental confusion. Constrained, विवश किया हुआ, impose a restriction on. Next is consummate, उत्कृष्ट, extremely skilled. Contagion, संक्रामक, the situation in which a disease is spread by touching someone or something. Next is contagious, संक्रामक, easily spread from one person to another. A disease which is spread with contact. Next is contaminated, दूषित, something made of impure by exposure to pollution substance. Next is contemporary, समकालीन, belonging to the same time, a person living in the same age with another. Next is contented, संतुष्ट, someone who is satisfied with life in general. Next is contagious, निकटवर्ती, touching along the side or boundary. Next is contingency, आकस्मिकता, an event that may not happen. Next is contraband, वर्जित सामग्री, prohibited by law or treaty from being imported or exported. तो इस तरह हमारे 400 OWS हो गए हैं complete. In the next video we will study from 401 to 500. Okay, bye bye, keep studying and please don't forget to like, share and subscribe.